Now, I mentioned what we call the invisible link, creating tremendous opportunity for investors. We call it the driving force. We touched on how supply's down, demand's up, but prices were falling because of this invisible link. So let's take a look at this. There are two distinctive markets. On this side, we have the shadow inventory, also known as the invisible link. And on this side, we have the visible inventory. Now, the visible is composed of people that are not distressed. They're called equity sellers or sometimes standard sales. They represent 50% of the listed marketplace. The REOs and short sales represent the other 50%. Now, the listed is a very strong market in Orange County. The shadow inventory is composed of REOs that are held, the real estate owned by the lenders, the 90 days late or more, all the way up to the courthouse steps, and people that are underwater that owe more than the home is worth. Now, the important thing that I'd like to point out about these statistics, about these two distinctive markets, is that the listed is what you see in the social media, Redfin, Realtor.com, Trulia. This is a very strong market. Tight inventory, very tight marketplace. But the shadow is a continual flow of properties at wholesale and sub-wholesale pricing that investors can capitalize on and reintegrate into this listed marketplace. So let's continue. Here's the listed market. We have 6,900 units approximately listed. Of that, 2,000 are REOs and short sales, but REOs are only 388 listed units in the entire market. It would take only 1.86 months in Orange County to sell all inventory at the current level of sales. What's interesting, when we track 9, 10, and 11, we look at the average for short sales and REOs, it's about 1,000 to 1,100 a month. Now, this is because lenders are strategically reintegrating this inventory to control the amount that goes into the listed and the amount that goes into their pipeline. Let's take a look at this. This is Mr. Banker up here, and his mantra is amend, extend, and pretend. This is his pipeline in the middle. 4,346 units in Orange County are REOs in shadow inventory. And then on the MLS listed side, REOs are only 388 and another 1,600 short sales. But importantly on this side is all the inventory in shadow that's going to be coming into his pipeline. We have another 34,000 that are over 90 days late, all the way up to the courthouse steps. There's been NODs, notices of sale, delays on the courthouse as well. 102,000 people underwater. Now, this is just Orange County, so you can see that there's this tremendous backlog. Now, on this side, he's asking, should I foreclose or should I postpone? In other words, should I postpone bringing more inventory into my pipeline? And on the other side, he's asking, should I hold or should I sell? In other words, should I take more of this REO inventory in shadow and put it back into the listed market? The reasons that this is such a slow process are many, but pricing, he's trying to keep the market stabilized. They also own, many lenders, first and second trust deed, other asset in their portfolio within those very same communities. So they do not want the market to fall and jeopardize their other investments as well. They want to defer losses. There are bank reserve requirements. Property condition has become an issue. This $25 billion settlement that basically has held up a lot of the foreclosure process, loan mods, workouts, HARP refis, all of these are reasons. But the key here is that the listed marketplace is extremely tight, very strong, low inventory, and there is a continual flow of wholesale properties for investors to buy and reintegrate. Now, one more look at OC versus the nation. The 4,300 versus 900,000 in the nation of REOs. People that are 90 days late up to the courthouse steps, 34,000 in OC, 6 million one in the U.S., and then the underwater borrowers, 102,000 in OC, and about 11 million, 7 in the U.S. Now, why aren't these properties selling at the courthouse steps as quickly as they used to? Like the old reality TV shows with the guys in the straw hats and the cashier's checks and the iced teas at the courthouse with multiple offers. Now all of a sudden, it's about 20% of them is selling. And the reasoning is condition, price, and occupants. A lot of these properties are in very poor condition, but the tenants now, in California for example, have their own Bill of Rights, it's called. Excuse me. And this Bill of Rights is creating a longer eviction process, so now investors at the courthouse steps are concerned not only about maybe a leaky slab on condition, but also having to battle with a tenant and attorneys for several months, if not years, to get these tenants out. So the bottom line is that the retail market is extremely strong, very tight, up at the top here, the listed. And the shadow, everything from REOs held, 90 days late, underwater, auctions, they're all bulging. And the answer is investors. We talked about Fannie, Freddie, and FHA, about 300,000 of these being reintegrated into the market in bulk. And there are bulk opportunities for local investors as well from other lenders, which is what we are focused on at this point. Now, as a wholesale investor, you're not buying in the multiple, so there is no record in the multiple of your initial acquisition. If you do a private recording and you do not disclose your documentary transfer taxes, what ends up happening is your initial acquisition is not disclosed. So when you put your capital in and you bring it up to an excellent curb appeal, you're reintegrating at the current higher value, which helps to stabilize the market and the rental market, both the sale and the rental markets.